Hello again, welcome to another War Within video. This time I'm going to be looking at the Survival Hunter improvements they've made, and the latest build they've updated a lot of all the specs for Hunter. I'm not going to focus on BM or Marksman because I don't really particularly play them or care for them. Survival Hunter is one that I've dabbled in a fair bit, and I always want to play it. I always want to enjoy it. It has always been a bit of a meme spec. So I wanted to give it some attention and potentially give out some thoughts as to how it feels and where some of the pain points are, and what kind of further improvements that could be made, just to see if we can get it into a better spot going forward into War Within. So diving into that then, the overall sentiment is that it's a positive direction. It's good. It's better than it was. Class tree, I won't really go too much into the class tree side of things, but they've made some really positive changes in the class tree side of things. Loads more survivability. You've got much better, better cooldowns, and just generally more tankiness as Survival Hunter, which is good. Explosive shot is moved into a much more central location, which is very useful, especially for survival, because survival focuses quite a bit on it. So that's really good. The mastery change as well, it's fine. It gives you some DR, which is quite nice. Outside of that, it's it is what it is. It does kind of round out your damage profile a bit, so that everything gets a damage boost instead of just specific abilities, specifically Carve and Mongoose Bite or Raptor Strike. So it does allow you to actually gain on all your damage profile from mastery rather than just specific abilities. So that's good. Focusing on the survival side of things, so the positive things, so this is more of a personal thing. Some people are probably going to love it, some people are going to hate it, but Wildfire Infusion, so in live right now, Wildfire Infusion is the talent that's kind of right down the bottom, and it's kind of a mandatory talent that absolutely everybody takes because of the power that it brings. But I personally don't enjoy the juggling that it brings. Yes, it brings a lot of power, but then having to, I've got my blue bomb coming up, which means I need to prepare to do a whole bunch of Carves or Mongoose Bites or Raptor Strikes to get the bleed going, or it's a red one coming up, I want to dump all of my focus so that I can then kill command back to back and utilize that, or it's a green one coming up, I need to make sure that I've got Serpent Sting, and it was just too much cognitive load, and it was just not, it wasn't you couldn't get into a flow state. You were constantly, especially the fact it didn't necessarily rotate, it was kind of just RNG as to what's coming up next. So I'm a fan that they've got rid of that and they've just kind of replaced it with just damage. All your bombs now are just shrapnel bombs, wherever I can find it. Can't find it. Okay, so it says that it's replaced by shrapnel bomb. That basically what we're saying here is that Wildfire Bomb has been replaced by the shrapnel bomb that you used to get from Wildfire Infusion. So it's always the blue one, which does damage, leaves a burn dot on the target, and also anyone hit by Raptor Strike or Carve or Mongoose Bite then gets this internal bleed, stacking up to 3 times. So you're basically just always playing with the blue dot, with the blue bomb. So I prefer that because it's just simpler. You always know what you need to be doing. But some people probably will hate that, and that's fine. That's their opinion, and they're welcome to it. But you've had 2 expansions to play with that. Now it's our turn to not have to worry about it. Another positive, so Serpent Sting now doesn't exist as an ability, so to speak. It's now kind of a passive effect that gets baked into this talent. So now just hitting a single target with Raptor Strike or Mongoose Bite applies Serpent Sting. It's no more this 35% chance, and you still had to spend a point over in the class tree to actually get Serpent Sting or anything like that. It's just, it's now just part of it. That's good. Removes some bloat from the keyboards, removes the key button that you have to press. So that's helpful. So that's the kind of broad strokes positive side of things. Let's talk about sort of survival's identity in this new update. So it's feeling a bit confused. It feels like they're trying to make Survival Hunter a bombardier, somebody that is just Wildfire Bomb, explosive shot, focusing on bombs and things like that. But at the same time, there's 1 or 2 key talents, and also the way that you've changed your mastery from being something that only buffs your spear attacks to being something that just buffs all your damage. So on that sense, it feels like they're trying to make it more of a bombardier class rather than this kind of spear class. But on the other hand, there is one or two talents which still make it feel like they're trying to push you down this kind of spear play style and focusing on, you know, Raptor Strike and Mongoose Bite and Carve and things like that, and Fury of the Eagle. So it feels a bit confused in its identity, and I think that actually does lead to some of the frustrations and the pain points when it comes to actually the flow of playing it, which we're going to get into in a sec. So that's hopefully something that, by addressing some of the thoughts that I have in terms of where the pain points are, that identity will feel much clearer. There's a couple of talents which I think probably, as while they're going at it, while they're pruning things and tidying things up, there's a couple that could probably be gotten rid of. So Aspect of the Eagle was a start. This is one that it's such a niche scenario where you're going to need to use Aspect of the Eagle that this is just a talent point that no one's ever going to spend. You're not going to give up throughput for Aspect of the Eagle. Just make it baseline at this point. Just give it to survival hunters, you know, like it's 15 seconds on a 1 minute cooldown for attack at range. Like just give it to them, you know. It doesn't need to be a talent. And then secondly, having Harpoon as a talent and then Terms of Engagement feels really bad, because those are so useful for outdoor world content, especially Terms of Engagement. It makes zipping around really helpful, and getting from pack to pack on like mythic dungeons, or just dungeons, really useful. Having it as a talent that you have to give up throughput for does not feel good. Either make it baseline or find somewhere to put it into the class tree as something that works across all three specs. But yeah, so these, you know, Harpoon, Terms of Engagement, and Aspect of the Eagle, I think they just need to be removed from here and made baseline, because why not? Like, at this point, I don't see a reason why. If that means then, because we know that we're, you know, there's a talent point that you are going to be getting back because you made this baseline, make something in here a 2-point talent. I know that 2-point talents are a bit of a contentious topic, but you know, I'm sure somewhere it will be fine. So that's kind of the only real pruning that I think needs to be done on the tree. But yeah. So there's one talent in particular I think really needs attention in terms of just some love. Spearhead. So I think this is a new talent. It basically, you and your pet charge your enemy, causing a heavy bleed that increases your chance to critically strike by 30%. And then this one reduces the cooldown by 30 seconds, making it a 1 minute cooldown. And it also now increases critical strike damage. So it's basically a 10-second buff on a 1 minute cooldown that gives you 30% crit and 30% crit damage. I think it feels a bit weak. Sims will be the one to tell whether this is weak or strong or whatever compared to things like Fury of the Eagle or... Well, I can tell you right now for a fact it's weaker than Coordinated Assault. You're never going to take this over Coordinated Assault, ever. But maybe giving it an actual bleed, you know, the fact that it says applies a heavy bleed, maybe if it could do some damage, then that would work. But yeah, so I think that could do with a bit of love, because it just feels... In no scenario do you really take it. I tried doing a single target build with Fury of the Eagle, just because it feels like it's going to be more useful than Spearhead, but Fury of the Eagle didn't really do much damage, so maybe it's the play in single target, but to get to it you have to take 2 points in kill command for 10% kill command damage, and I mean kill command is so little of your damage profile that just feels like effectively a 4-point cost just to get 30% crit chance and 30% crit damage for 10 seconds every minute. Just the cost, the juice is not worth the squeeze. So I think this little nib sticking out here could probably do with some love. And that's kind of most of it, except for one point, which is really, from what I can tell from playing Survival Hunt, I've done, you know, a couple of, you know, rounds of smashing the target dummies just to see how it feels over an extended period of time of sustained AoE, done some dungeons and that kind of stuff to see how it feels. And there is one point in here in the tree which is causing all of the contention, and it's Tip of the Spear. Now, Tip of the Spear, I don't know if this is left over in terms of the wording, but there's some really conflicting wording. So the talent reads: kill command increases the direct damage of your other spells by 15%, stacking up to 3 times. Now, it doesn't say how long for, but it is a short duration buff. But reading that, my initial impression was, okay, cool. So if I get 3 kill commands out, I'm going to have 45% increased damage. And as long as I'm kill commanding every 6, 7, 8 seconds, however long this buff lasts, I can maintain it. I read this as, this is a maintenance buff that I just have to keep up, which you're going to do anyway, because you will be kill commanding at least every 6, 7 seconds in order to maintain focus, in order to, because you've got an empty GCD or whatever. So I was like, okay, fine, that's fair. But that's not how it works. And then also how it actually works doesn't make sense, because it also doesn't line up with the tooltip. So when you actually proc it and you kill command, you get a tooltip, you get a buff that states increases the damage of your next non-kill command ability by 15%, 30%, 45%. So then you look at that and you think, oh, okay, so if I do 3 kill commands and then I do a Raptor Strike, I'm going to get a Raptor Strike with 45% increased damage. Okay, fine. Or a Carve with 45% increased damage, or a Wildfire Bomb. Okay, fine. Okay, that's different, but, fair enough. You're probably never realistically going to get it up to 3, because you're just going to be, kill command to 1, and then you're going to be spending your focus, and then you might kill command once or twice. So you're never realistically going to get this up to 3. But all right, fair enough. But then how it actually plays is not how the tooltip reads. So then when you use your kill command, you get your stack, and say you get up to 3. If you then carve will use all 3 stacks to do increased damage, like the tooltip says. But if you use Wildfire Bomb or Raptor Strike, it will use 1 stack. So you'll go from having 3 stacks at 45% to having 2 stacks at 30%. So you can build up 3 and then do 3 Wildfire Bombs, and they'll each consume 1 stack, and it will trickle down. So then, okay, well, that's not how the tooltip reads, and that's not how Carve operates. Okay, and then also, Explosive Shot doesn't consume them. So does Explosive Shot benefit from it? It is, as the tooltip reads, it is a non-kill command attack, so why doesn't that consume a stack? So there's some real funkiness going on, and I don't know where the bug is. I don't know if the bug is the fact that Carve uses 3 stacks and that's incorrect. I don't know if the bug is that anything uses stacks and is actually meant to be a maintenance buff. I don't know if the bug is that Raptor Strike and Wildfire Bomb only use one stack, and that or that actually Explosive Shot is doing it correctly and it's getting the damage bonus but not consuming the buff. Like, I don't know where the bug is, but I know how I'd like it to work, and I'll tell you for why. I would like it to work as a maintenance buff. And if that means you have to reduce it down from being 45% constant, increased damage to 10, 20, 30 or 5, 10, 15, whatever you need to do to make the numbers work, that comes into tuning, fine, but it needs to be a maintenance buff. And I'll tell you why, because at the minute it's causing massively conflicting priority decisions. Because that pressing Wildfire Bomb or pressing Raptor Strike or Mongoose Bite or pressing Carve without having first pressed kill command feels like a waste, because you are giving up damage. You are not buffing the damage of your next ability. And you're so flooded with focus that you don't really need to be pressing kill command anywhere near as much as you end up pressing it, because you just got so much focus coming in. But you have to, because you want to maintain this, you want to get this buff up before every ability that you press. So you end up in this really annoying situation where you're constantly juggling between, right, kill command, Raptor Strike, kill command, Wildfire Bomb, kill command, Wildfire Bomb, kill command, Raptor Strike. And it makes a lot of bloat. Kill command should be pressed because you need focus, not because you want to buff the damage of your next ability. So it causes huge amount of bloat in the kind of the APM that you have to actually go through in order to get the flow of the combat. And it also then gives you this really awkward decision of, okay, I've now kill command, I've got this stack of buff. Now, what should I use it on at this moment in time? Should I use it on Carve? Should I use it on Wildfire Bomb? Should I use it on Raptor Strike? There's no point using it on Explosive Shot because it doesn't appear to work. And then that really, all that boils down to is what one does most damage. Well, okay, well, in that scenario, Wildfire Bomb's the answer. If you use your tip of the spear on anything other than Wildfire Bomb, you've just wasted it, because nothing does the damage that Wildfire Bomb does. And it's just pointless pressing anything other than Wildfire Bomb at this point. I know that comes down to tuning. You know, they could reduce the damage of Wildfire Bomb, or they could increase the damage of Raptor Strike or Carve or anything like that. But I think actually it's less to do with the numbers in terms of the damage. And I'm going to suggest something which will sound very controversial, because I'll be like, why would you want to know? But I actually think that the cooldown for Wildfire Bomb could do with being increased. Right now, it's got an 11-second recharge, and I have got cool haste. What's this? Oh, 23% haste, apparently. So, you know, it's got a pretty short cooldown of 11 seconds, but then that's constantly being cooled down by other means. But it's basically always up. And because it has now a 25% chance to reset the cooldown of Explosive Shot, you basically are just constantly Wildfire Bomb, Explosive Shot, Kill Command. You're just pressing those 3 buttons, and then you get this rare scenario. This is mainly in AoE that I'm talking about here. You get this rare scenario where you got all your Wildfire Bombs on cooldown, all your Kill Commands on cooldown. You didn't get an Explosive Shot proc, so you're actually like, oh, okay, I haven't had any procs, so I've actually got a window, a GCD or 2 here to press something. And then, if it's AoE, you then press Carve and Raptor Strike. And because Wildfire Bomb is constantly off cooldown and so much more powerful than everything else, you don't press anything else. Now, I don't think that Wildfire Bomb should be reduced in power, because I still think it should be a button that feels good to press. You should be like, yeah, my Wildfire Bomb's up, I'm going to hit it because it's powerful and it does a lot of damage and it feels good because I'm a Bombardier. But the cooldown, it needs to be up and available less. Because it's very clear that they want you to press Carve and they want you to press Raptor Strike in AoE for a number of reasons. You've got a talent here where casting Butchery causes your next Raptor Strike to hit 3 targets. So now you can Carve and then Raptor Strike, and that will hit 4 targets. Hit 3 targets, sorry, which will then apply Serpent Sting to all of them, which is another source of AoE damage. And then if you hit anyone that already has Serpent Sting, it will spread it, so you can very quickly spread these around into bigger packs. So you want to be doing a Carve followed by a Raptor Strike, you know, every so often, to make sure that you've got Serpent Sting on everyone. And then on top of that, where is it? On top of that, oh yes, on top of that, because you've got the Shrapnel Bomb, hitting an enemy with Butchery adds this internal bleeding stack, which gives you another bleed onto the enemy, which then obviously increases your attack speed somewhere, wherever that is. Yep, there it is, increasing your attack speed. So you want to be carving all the enemies that are hit by Shrapnel Bomb so that you can get up this 3 stacks of internal bleeding. But the problem is that right now, Wildfire Bomb does so much damage and is constantly available that if you press anything else, it's a damage loss. Internal bleeding does sweet fuck all in terms of damage, so that just needs some tuning. And Carvery could probably do with some tuning as well, because that just doesn't really hit very hard. And then Tip of the Spear is just, in its current iteration, its current design, because of the fact that pressing anything other than Wildfire Bomb is a damage loss, using a Tip of the Spear stack on anything other than Wildfire Bomb feels like a waste. So for those things, it kind of ends up in this really not feeling that great, because all you're doing is literally Kill Command Wildfire Bomb, Kill Command Wildfire Bomb, Kill Command Wildfire Bomb, Explosive Shot. Oh, I've got a spare GCD. I'll do a Carvery and then a Raptor Strike, literally just to fill the time. The bonus of that is now I get this bleed on the enemies. The bonus of that is now I get a bunch of Serpent Stings going out. But then they do negligible damage, so it doesn't really matter. And then I'm back to just Wildfire Bomb, Kill Command Wildfire Bomb, Kill Command Wildfire Bomb. So I did a test. I did two target dummy tests. One where I focused on doing what I believe is being asked of us, and that is maintaining 3 stacks of internal bleeding on all targets, maintaining Serpent Sting on all targets, using Wildfire Bomb, using Kill Command, but making sure that you are doing equal amounts of Carvery, Raptor Striking, Wildfire Bombing, Explosive Shot, trying to use your entire kit equally. I did it the way that it's intended to be played, and overall I did about 874. Oh yeah, again, my UI's fucked because I usually play on an ultra wide. I record on the non-ultra wide, so yeah. So over the course, I did quite a long fight. It was about 3-4 minutes, I think it was. Yeah, 4-minute fights. I did 200 million damage total. I did about 874k in total damage. Playing the way that the talents and all the passives and the way they interact asks you to play. And when you look at the damage profile, playing the way that they ask you to play, you can see that, you know, Serpent Sting, 7.5%, fairly, you know, respectable. Raptor Strike doing AoEs, 6.5%, pretty respectable. Internal Bleeding dot, 4.2%. That was maintained at 3 stacks. Yeah, it really doesn't do a lot. And then Butchery, you know, 8 million. You have 3 charges, but I would only ever actually use a charge in order to follow up with a Raptor Strike to get Serpent Sting refreshed and to refresh Internal Bleeding. I was never using Butchery for actual AoE damage, for the simple fact that if you have a choice between doing a Butcher or a Wildfire Bomb, Butcher just hits like a wet noodle by comparison. So you can see here, Butchery hits everything for 55,000 damage, and then Shrapnel Bomb hits it for 135 and adds a bleed, adds a burn that does 140,000, and it'll do 40% increased damage to the primary target. So it's like the damage difference between Butchery and Wildfire Bomb is just night and day. So you don't ever press Butchery for damage. You press it so you can then get an AoE Raptor Strike, and so you can apply Internal Bleeding and applying Serpent Sting. But even when you do that, even when you do what is being asked of you correctly, it still does nothing in terms of your overall damage profile. So the priority is press Wildfire Bomb as much as physically possible. And so then when I said, okay, my next test, I'm going to only ever fill empty GCDs with a Carvery followed by a Raptor Strike. I'm not going to worry about maintaining Internal Bleeding. I'm not going to worry about maintaining Serpent Stings. I'm literally just going to get as many Kill Command, Wildfire Bombs, and explosive shots out as humanly possible. And then again, about 4-minute test, did about 200 million total damage. And in that case, my damage went up from 874,000 to 948,000. So by literally ignoring Butchery and Raptor Strike and what is a large portion of the tree, a large portion of the design, and just focusing on maintaining as many tip of the spear buffed Wildfire Bombs as possible, which I still don't know whether tip of the spear is working correctly, because Wildfire Bomb consumes 1. I don't know whether if I have 3 stacks, I could probably test that actually. I know whether I have 3 stacks of tip of the spear increasing the damage by 45% and I use a Wildfire Bomb, that Wildfire Bomb does 45% damage, and then the next one would do 30% and the next one would do 15%. Because if that's the case, then you want to build up to 3 Wildfire Bomb and then Kill Command to maintain 45% on every Wildfire Bomb. So I think there's a bug going on with tip of the spear, and they need to get that fixed. They need to get it working as the way they intended it, because that will then dictate their entire goals for how they want you to actually play survival. But right now, the way to play survival in terms to actually maximize your damage is not at all how they want you to play survival. And that boils down from tip of the spear and Wildfire Bombs just being far too readily available. So some of it is down to tuning, but I think the cooldown of Wildfire Bomb is ultimately the biggest pain point there. So if they could address that, then, you know, it'll probably feel really good. You know, you'll be doing your Kill Commands, you'll be doing your Carves, you'll be doing your Raptor Strikes, and then, well, hey, Wildfire Bomb's back up, boom. You know, it'll feel good. So yeah, single target wise, it's a bit fucked, because again, like, this is where it just doesn't make sense. So flanking, so if you go for a single target type build, you kind of ditch a load of the spreading things, you ditch Carvery, you go for Mongoose Bite and all that kind of stuff. And then you pick up Flanking Strike. Now, Flanking Strike has in it, Tip of the Spear grants an additional 15% damage bonus to Flanking Strike. So by that logic, if you've got 3 stacks of Tip of the Spear, it's 45% increased damage. But for Flanking Strike, it'll actually be 90% increased damage. But you get stacks of Tip of the Spear from Kill Command. Kill Command gives you focus. Flanking Strike gives you focus. So you want to press Flanking Strike when you need focus, which is after you've dumped a bunch of abilities, which would have consumed your Tip of the Spear. But you want a Flanking Strike when you have maximum stacks of Tip of the Spear. which is never when you need focus. So you're either kill commanding to get back to full focus, and then you're flanking striking to benefit from tip of the spear doing increased damage and flanking strike, but then you're just generating focus that you don't need. So this is where, again, the whole, if it's being consumed, if tip of the spear is being consumed, then this talent, that this entire ability just doesn't work. It's completely designed wrong. But if it's meant to be a maintenance buff, then yes, that works great, because you'll kill command up, you'll have 3 stacks, you'll dump out a bunch of mongoose bites, you'll then flanking strike to get a bunch of focus back. That then benefits from tip of the spear, and then you can go straight back into mongoose bites. In that scenario, it works. But if they are consumed like they are currently being, and if that's the design goal, then tip of the flanking strike needs to be completely redesigned, because why you don't need it to benefit from tip of the spear, because you're never going to have tip of the spear when you press this button, because you only want to press this button when you're focus starved. So there's some work to do there. That's for sure. So that's, and this is a weird talent that your focus generating ability causes your next focus generating ability to AoE, which is odd. You know what? I don't know why we keep doing so much increasing damage to kill command. It's literally your generator. It's your weak source. It's a thing that hits for fuck all. I mean, where even is it on? There you go. 3.2% of the damage. So we don't need to buff kill command's damage. It's just, it doesn't need to be buffed. It's not, we don't press kill command for damage. We press it for tip of the spear and focus. So yeah, so flanking strike needs more thought. And again, and also mongoose bite now needs some thought, because with the way that tip of the spear is currently working, mongoose bite doesn't work the way it used to, because you kill command and then you'd mongoose bite, which then increases the damage of your next mongoose bite, and then you want to kill command. So you kind of want to mongoose bite first and then get a bunch of kill commands. So yeah, the ultimate goal is to get 5 stacks of mongoose bite, kill command a couple of times, try and get 3 stacks of tip of the spear, and then just get 1 fucking massive buffed mongoose bite. That's okay. That feels like it might be quite fun and interesting, but then in between that, you've got wildfire bombs, you've got flanking strike, you've got all these other things that have the potential to eat your tip of the spear procs, as well as filling up the GCDs that you want to use to get out as many mongoose bites as you can, because it only lasts for 14 seconds. So, you've got really every other GCD. You've got you've probably got about 6 spare GCDs in order to actually achieve that, of which 3 of them need to be used on kill command to get your final 3 stacks of tip of the spear ready for that final mongoose bite. So you've only got 3 GCDs within that. So it's kind of, yeah, mongoose bite doesn't work with the redesign of tip of the spear, which is where it all falls back again to tip of the spear just needs to be a maintenance buff. It shouldn't be consumed. You shouldn't be eating the buffs. Like, it should just be a maintenance buff. It's, yeah. And I think that's probably about it, really. It's a move in a good direction, overall positive, but there's 2 or 3 real friction points that stop it functioning the way that you want it to function and the way that would be good to function. So they're my thoughts. Take them or leave them. Other people will have different thoughts, and that's fine. But I really want Survival Hunter to be good and to be fun. I've always really wanted to play it. It's just never felt brilliant to play. And hopefully with those thoughts that it could move it closer to being a really, really enjoyable and really fun spec. But yeah, thank you for listening, and catch you in the next video.